Welcome to the Château du Lude. My name is Barbara de Nicolaï, and with my husband Louis Jean, we run this house since the years 80s. I'll try to tell you the very long story of this old lady. It starts from the Middle Age and it goes until the 19th century, even 21st century. It's a real summary of the history of the French architecture, and I will try to explain it for you. First of all is that we are in the Anjou region, so western France, the Loire Valley, and the chateau was built here at the beginning to defend the Anjou Kingdom. So we are at the border, and I'll show you where it is located, because we are on the bank of a little river called Le Loir. And Le Loir, it's not like his big brother La Loire, or big sister La Loire, but it's a small river, very charming, less famous certainly, but absolutely a charming valley where one can see still the old history and mostly the Renaissance history of this country. They used the Roman technique to build the walls. Actually, there were two walls at 8 meters of distance, and then they were filled with everything, old stones and everything, and they were very high. If you look at the castle, the towers are nearly 30 meters high. That was the stronghold with 2,000 soldiers inside, and during the period between the 13th and the 15th century, Le Lude, the Château du Lude, defended the Anjou Kingdom, and at that time arrived the chamberlain of the King Louis XI, and he came from southwestern France. He was a very powerful man, very close friend of the king, and he bought the chateau, he bought the old stronghold. He decided to, of course, to transform it into a residence. They worked a lot on this chateau, the chamberlain Jehan de Daillon and all his descendants during 250 years. We are very lucky here in Le Lude to have still beautiful, pure Renaissance, Italian Renaissance façade. It's very particular to this period to see these big medallions with these portraits, and it comes from the Roman iconography, and also the style around the windows with all the fantasy of the Renaissance is still there. And it's very interesting to see that each window is different from the other. And the decoration was made between 1510 and 1530. So at the top of the walls of this 18th century wing, you can see the arms of the family. So on the right side, the 3 wolves' head of Marquise de la Vieuville, and on the left side, the 3 pines of the family de Talouet. I must say also that from that time, the chateaus remained in the family until now. So there are several generations, and it changed several times of names because it went several times to the women. And the last Talouet had 2 daughters, and the oldest married the Marquis de Nicolaï. And that's why it's now the family of my husband and I, so the family de Nicolaï. So we go through the arches, and we arrive in a very elegant horseshoe courtyard. And you can notice the windows and the pilasters around the windows with encrusted marble, black and red marble, and also this very elegant niche on the walls. It's very interesting to see the 19th century additions to this house, because on the roofs are ended by a sort of ridge, a lead ridge, with the initials of the Talouet family who occupied this house during the whole 19th century. And what's also typical from the 19th century are the chimneys in brick and stone. And it's the first time that they added brick to the stone castle. Beginning of 19th century, where they finished the renovation of the North Tower, and this is typical neo-Gothic period. And it's interesting because the architect at that time was inspired by Chambord Castle. And they renovated completely this tower, ending by this little rooftop. This is exactly the exact copy of the Chambord Tower, and we call this tower the Tour Chambord. Inside the house, we will find the same evolution of the architecture and the decoration throughout the centuries. So we will see it on 6 floors. From the bottom of the moat until the attic. We start with the old kitchen, dating from the beginning of 15th century, with a beautiful ceiling, stone ceiling, and it's just fantastic because they were in use from the 15th century until the last war, until middle of the 20th century. The most important room is also the smallest of the house, and it's a studiolo painted by the school of Raphael, and with a beautiful ceiling and painted walls with stories taken from the Bible. And this is middle of the 16th century. It's really the treasure of the chateau, in the beautiful ballroom of the house, especially on the ceiling and the border frieze under the ceiling, painted wood, and this is typical from the 16th century. The huge chimney, stone chimney, the same model as the chimneys that you will find in the Château de Loire. So this was made in the 19th century, like the painted walls with a lot of gold, the wooden panels. This is typical from the 19th century. I bring you in the 18th century wing. Inside decoration started at the beginning of the 19th century in a sort of a Louis XVI style. That you can see it on the wooden panels, and this gray color, light gray color. This is also typical from that time. It's a gris Marie-Antoinette. What is also typical from this house is that the furniture is still there. The furniture from the Renaissance period, from the 18th century and the 19th century. And the architect at that time was Pierre Félix de la Rue, a famous architect of this area. And for instance, he built this huge staircase deserving 3 floors, and using the Renaissance iconography that he saw on the façade, on the south wing. Work in progress. We are making new works of renovation since 2019, and we have 3 years of works to restore 3 floors of the North Tower. And what we want to show is the daily life at that time, and also to renovate the 19th century rooms that were unoccupied for nearly 100 years. So typically here we are in the chapel, It's the second chapel of the chateau. The first one was made in the Renaissance, but removed when they built the 18th century wing. And this chapel was made in the 19th century. And we decided to restore it completely. And we restored several bedrooms also, the laundry, the hunting room, and we worked with several very good artisans of this area. With my family, so my husband and our 4 children, we try to keep this house as authentic as possible, and to share with the public who comes here and visit the house, the daily French chateau life, the chateau life of the old times, but also of these times, of our days, because Le Lude is one of the last big chateaux of the Loire Valley still lived in by a family. And this is something that you will not see very often in other big chateaus, you know. And we still live here. We organize several events throughout the season. We are open to the public 7 months a year. We organize events like a big garden show in the beginning of June. We organize also escape games in some hidden rooms of the house and the commons. We created new gardens in the last 20 years with also botanical collection, a rose garden, a kitchen garden. And it makes this house really very, very lively. It's not a museum, and it's maybe a very interesting place to understand the evolution of the French architecture, the French decoration, and the French daily life in such a house.